to this interview with Andrew Redfern. We are going to talk today about the RootsTech and the presentations that he is doing around, I should just say presentation, he is doing around artificial intelligence. I'll be doing one on using ChatGPT as a writing coach. Andrew's also going to be doing one, and I don't want to give it away. I want to let him give a little preview of it. But Andrew, just welcome to the podcast here. I'm excited to meet you because we're on opposite ends of the world. So this is great. We get to meet each other this way and everyone gets to meet you.
Yeah, no, it's great to be here, and the wonders of technology to connect both sides of the world.
Why don't you give the people watching some background about your genealogy journey? I mean, you don't need to start at the beginning necessarily, but sort of, what your professional genealogy interest is, how you got started, and then if you could kind of pivot into, your AI interest, how AI started to fold into that would be great.
Yeah, no, great. So I'm essentially standing on the shoulders of my mother, Mari, who's since passed away, but she started doing family history back in the 1980s, trying to sort of prove our lineage. My surname is quite well known in Australia. There's a suburb by the name of Redfern, and we were trying to work out, are we actually related, and how are we related to the person that suburb is named after? So she started that in the 80s, and I got quite interested, was quite always interested in history. And then, as happens with life and a young guy, I was always doing family history, but sort of not full time. And then once COVID came along, I actually got a message from a DNA match saying, "Are you the Andrew that's interested in Redfern family history?" And I said, "I certainly am." I'd put everything into Family Tree Maker and all that sort of thing over the years, and had constantly researched, but nothing serious. And then so this reignited my passion during COVID, and what better time to start tracing ancestors than when you've got 24 hours a day stuck at home. So I started that, and my professional life, I'm a trained teacher, but in every school I worked in, I also was the IT guy. So that was sort of, back in the mid-90s, where schools were really embracing IT. So my technology background is where I then got into the AI. So I watched a couple of really early presentations by local family history groups that were sort of saying, "Oh no, AI is not going to be useful. It's going to make all these errors. It doesn't know who my third great grandfather is. It's making all this stuff up." And my thinking was, with the amount of money that's been invested in this technology, I think there has to be more to this than that. So I started to do my own research, and I do a lot of work with the Society of Australian Genealogists in Australia. So I presented a 1-hour webinar, and at the end of that, people just said, "We want more." So that ended up being 3 2-hour webinars, and running a special interest group now, and speaking on AI all around the world, essentially. So yeah, it's a fascinating area. I love it. It does have its quirks. It's got its things that we need to be aware of. But yeah, that's sort of how I've suddenly become this AI person in family history. I know I was giving one talk, and one person introduced me as the AI and tech geeky guy, so which I was more than happy to take that name and cap and wear it with pride. So suddenly, the geeks have become popular once again. So that's good.
Love it. The AI and tech geeky guy. Yeah. It's funny how when you're sort of that jack of all trades around technology, that when new pieces come along, you're like, "Oh, well, let me try this out." Like, it just seems to fold in naturally to your interests. And I share a similar one. I was involved in educational technology back in the late 90s, when we were first starting to put things online in terms of education. I worked for a very large financial services firm, so they had the means to do that, and was getting a master's in computer science at the same time. So yeah, it was like I was in that, oh, let's try this out. Can we do this? Can we push it to the desktop? How much video can we actually do? back in the days when video bandwidth and memory store, was a big deal, to do these kinds of things. Yeah, it's crazy. And now I'm excited to come to more of your presentations, just based on what you said. Like you got me hooked. But tell me a little bit more about like your favorite AI tool out of all that you're teaching about. So you're doing all these deep dives for genealogists and family historians, but what's the one that you personally like kind of lean on the most or incorporate the most into your workflow?
Yeah, so the one that I keep going back to is ChatGPT. And that's the one that I started on. And I think that's the one that's probably most accessible for people trying to get into artificial intelligence. And because I tend to do a lot of introductory type courses, I find it's better to start with something that I think people are going to find accessible, that has good, you can demonstrate a whole lot of things that it can do. And I think one of the problems or one of the challenges for family historians or anyone using AI is there are so many tools out there that, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. And is there a tool that does that? And is there a tool that does that? Well, yes, the answer is probably yes. But I think we need to build some skills and capacity. And the best way to do that is to choose one tool and learn the skills in that one tool. And that's the why I keep going back to ChatGPT. I do have a paid subscription. So for a number of reasons. One is that it has the image capabilities. Like I did start with Mid-Journey with images, but that was on Discord servers and that certainly wasn't accessible for non-technical people. I know that's changed now, but I just like the whole ChatGPT, that it's all sort of encompassed in the one tool. And I've built some of my own GPTs to assist family historians as well. I just find it's probably the one tool that that people will find the easiest to use. Yes, there's probably other tools out there with better features or that do different things better, but I think as an overall package, ChatGPT is the one that I keep going back to.
Yeah, I gave a big smile and a thumbs up when you said that, because that's my favorite tool too. It's the Swiss Army knife of artificial intelligence for sure. It gets me, 90% of the way there with a lot of things. Yeah. And this voice
Mm.
mode that, you can talk to it. This is my new, I don't know if you do this. I'm gonna have a techie geeky moment with Andrew right now. Everyone can listen in or you can, zone out on it. But so my new favorite productivity hack, the way I get more hours out of my day is I love to take long walks. I just take out my phone and I will draft. I will give it an outline of something that I'm thinking about writing or a video I'm thinking about filming, and I'll talk to him. I use the male butler voice, I forget exactly which one that was, but I just love like the English sounding butler who's like waiting on me, talking to him about what I want to compose kind of thing. And I just talk and like it reads it back to me. I can enhance it. Everything's saved. It's very like legible. It's not like voice dictation typically, which is just very stream of consciousness. It's been organized, bulleted. And then when I come back from my walk, it's all there and I can just pick up and continue on. It's
Wow.
just, I feel like, my neighbors probably think I'm crazy, but that's okay. Just talking out loud to myself while I'm walking. But
Well, it's interesting because I often use ChatGPT when I'm on public transport. But yes, I think it's to take it to another level to sit there and start talking to yourself, assuming
yeah,
that you're not on a phone call. So yes, and the other thing about the voice interaction is I actually had a friend contact me the other day, and she said I've turned something on to try and get this voice thing going with ChatGPT, but now it's actually typing everything I say. So every time I go to do a Google search, it will, if I'm on a call, it'll start to dictate that. So we had to work out the settings on her computer of what she turned on by mistake, and it wasn't actually the voice component of ChatGPT. So.
oh no. That's the downside of our AI integrating it into our lives, right? It can be a little too there and present for us. I think, I know I want the ability to choose to use it and then be like, okay, I'm good. And then step back. turn it off and do my own thing.
And I mean, I think that the importance of the human in the use of AI is really critical. I know some people are frightened that AI is going to take over our lives and, it's going to start going rogue and doing all these things. But I think, one of my sort of mantras is humans lead, AI supports or follows. So, none of these tools start spitting out stuff unless we actually ask them to. And it's
Right.
the skills are in how we actually interact with those tools and how we refine the prompts, manipulate the prompts, etc. That makes the difference. So.
100%, 100%. And I've had people say, well, it spit out all this stuff and, it's not what I wanted, or it made up things or whatever. And I'm like, well, then you just ignore it. You try again. It's not like you have to use what it gave you. It's just words. Like you can just just forget about that it even happened. It's like, having a conversation with someone who's, didn't hear what you asked or didn't, and they made a mistake in how they responded to you. It's the same thing. You just ask again, or you ask in a different way, or, you
Yes.
provide more context, or, and I hate making an analogy to a human when you're talking to a machine, but it's more, AI is more like talking to a human than it is like talking to a machine at some points. It makes mistakes, it assumes too many things, or it doesn't make the right interpretations, just like people do. So,
Yes.
I don't
Yeah.
mind repeating myself or better explaining. And um,
And just like humans, at the end of the day, you can say, I'm going to agree to disagree and
yeah,
leave it there, sort of thing.
exactly.
So we'll try again tomorrow. I'll think
Yeah,
about that and come back and give
yeah,
you another go tomorrow. So
exactly. Thanks, but no thanks. I'm not using any of your suggestions. Right now.
yes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And right. I love what you just said about humans lead and AI supports, or, acts as a thing. My session that I'm doing for RootsTech is about using AI as a writing coach. So having it work alongside you, help you reach your writing goals. It's not about, let me prompt it and have it write the perfect family history for me from beginning to end. I'm not going to change it. It's not about that at all. I mean, maybe it'll write something that you love and you'll just copy paste it. But for most people, they have a lot more that they want to add to, like a biographical information that ChatGPT might write for you. They want to add more personality to it, and things like that. Or they already have existing writing that maybe they want to enhance or evaluate, or there's just different ways to use it very creatively that isn't about, put in a one sentence prompt, things come out, and then you make a judgment call.
Yeah.
It's good,
And
or and it's always like good or bad. It's never like, people never grade it like A, B, C, D, E, F. It's always like it's an A or an F. It's like, well, it could be like
yes.
a B plus effort that it did, or a D minus or something. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
and I think too, the other thing that with family historians, we're often very much fact focused and we want the one answer.
yeah,
It's either right or wrong. This person was either born on this date or not on this date. We've got the right person, we don't have the right person. Whereas I think our mindset needs to shift a little bit with AI in terms of it's providing options, it's providing, different options that we can use, and we can choose to use parts of this and parts of that and put it together ourselves. So rather than going for one answer, one solution, go for the many-pronged, many-solution approach that then we then manipulate those solutions into what we know to be true or want to communicate with others. So.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all based on our goal. What's the
Mm.
goal, and how can AI help, if at all, right? And I think you're providing that context. So hopefully this is a good segue into your presentation for RootsTech, which will be live. I'm very excited about this. So anyone listening to this or watching this will be able to see it. It'll be recorded. So if it's missed, if you can't make the time, no worries. You can catch the recording, and you can watch the recording multiple times. So
Yes, to understand my accent.
no, but sometimes people are like, wait, this is going to be over my head. I can't handle it. And And I would just encourage people, even if you think you can't handle AI, like if you're in the camp of don't give me one more piece of technology to figure out, like, and I get that. I totally I'm sympathetic. I reached that point too with the way things change some often these days. But if you're in I'm against technology, just I invite you to listen to Andrew's talk, listen to all the AI talks, and just let it wash over you. Just let it sink in. You know, like and be, when you feel like a little adventurous, you want to venture out, in the middle of it's winter here, in the northern hemisphere. So we're looking for things to do. You might want to do it. So Andrew, anyway, tell us about your presentation. I'm excited to learn more
Yeah.
myself.
So the idea of my presentation is just to give people a whole taster. It's almost like a smorgasbord of all the different ways that AI may be able to be used in family history. And I'm not saying that you have to use them. Some people will say, well, no, I do that a different way. No, there's another piece of software that does that. But other people will see something and go, wow, I need to do that with my own, whether it's creating tables, whether it's creating images, whether it's synthesizing some research, whether it's finding research plans. So the idea of the talk is how AI can help the family historian. And it's just sort of going to be a whole practical demonstration of multiple ways using multiple pieces of research, multiple ancestors, and hopefully to whet people's appetite and to start going and having a try with these tools. So I'm going to focus particularly on ChatGPT because, as I've said, that's probably but I will sort of throw in an odd other tool as well if I think it's better use or one of my favorites. So. Yes, watch this space. And who knows what will happen between now and RootsTech as to, I know whenever I'm giving a presentation on AI, I have to always get up at least an hour before or check an hour before the presentation starts to make sure that something hasn't landed in the world that's just totally changed the landscape. So it's exciting. I mean, it's a great place to be that you really don't know what's going to happen next. So and you can plan and integrate what's happening now, but you don't really know what the horizon's going to have. But I think some people might say, oh well, I want to I'll wait till they fix AI or till AI gets more developed. Well, we've been doing that with technology for years, that waiting for the next greatest and waiting for them to iron out all the bugs. It's never going to happen. There's always going to be bugs. And I think the skills that you learn whenever you join the AI sort of train, that I like to call it. It's a journey that we're all on. The skills that you learn will always be applicable at the next level and in the next tools. Going back to part of my history, and when you were talking about putting things on the web for the first time, the first websites I built back in the early 2000s were all hand-coded HTML. Now, I don't do any of that anymore, but
Right.
the skills that I learned there, I can troubleshoot now when I'm using, WordPress or whatever tools I'm using in terms of web development. So any skills you learn at any time are going to be useful. So yeah, so that's a long way around my talk, but yeah, come along and have a watch, have a listen, and I do encourage people to watch it a few times because there will be there'll be things where you'll want to actually pause and actually say, well, what did he actually type into that prompt to get it to do that? So
Right.
and a bit like Denyse said, I would say start with watch the first time just as an entertainment piece of and hopefully it'll be entertaining. I'll try and throw a few jokes in there along the way. Sort of watch it just as an overview and then go back and dig into the individual bits that you want to learn more about. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. I love something that's like a tour, like it's like the grand tour of, what you could do. Because it sparks the imagination, it gets the creative juices flowing for people that feel stuck or looking to be inspired I think it's great. I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm so
Yes.
excited. So Andrew, how can people follow up with you outside of RootsTech? Like, do you have a website? Like, what's your preferred way to, have people contact you?
Yeah, so well, I've got a website, andrewredfern.com, but I'm on all the socials, Facebook, Blue Sky, X, Twitter, although I tend to be transitioning to Blue Sky a lot more. So yeah, but probably an email through my website is the easiest way, and then I'll get back to you. But happy to continue the conversation and answer questions and that sort of thing. I'm in the process of uploading some resources about AI onto my website, but look forward to connecting with anyone that's listened or watching the recording or that catches me on at RootsTech as well.
Okay, great. So for anyone watching this on YouTube, check the description below for Andrew's website. If you didn't hear or want to get the spelling right, there'll be a link there in the description, so you can touch base with Andrew, see what he's doing in the Southern Hemisphere. AI is worldwide, everyone. It's everywhere. It's not just in the United States. And check out RootsTech. Link also in the description and for RootsTech in general, so you can register. And when you register, you'll get access to all the talks recorded, pre-recorded, recorded at the event, for you to access along with all the handouts. So check the handouts. Andrew will have some handouts and the slides and everything. So thank you, Andrew, for joining me for this conversation. I found a kindred spirit with AI.
Yeah.
Brother from another mother, as we like to say here.
Yeah, no, it's great. It reminds me I need to go back and watch some of the recordings from last year's RootsTech. How you have your playlist and all that sort of thing. It's like, oh, I'm sure there's still some in there that I want to watch or watch again.
Thanks again, everyone, and make sure to tune into RootsTech and Andrew's presentation.
Thank you.
Okay.